Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Chill Pill. Sláinte Ruth.
Sláinte.
I have to say, with Ruth being in her 60s, she forgot about last week.
Oh, please. And guess who's 60
I can-
this Sunday? You.
I don't want anybody celebrating my birthday.
I'm 60.
It's nothing to celebrate.
And you're turning 60 this weekend. So, we're both in our 60s.
Yeah, that's true. We both.
And we both actually forgot about the chill pill.
We both forgot.
last week.
I don't know what happened last week.
Don't know, just forgot about
What
it.
were we doing?
Sorry, everybody. But here we are
It's
today.
like I think we forgot one time before.
I know.
That's twice.
It's happening.
Three
That's all I
strikes
can
in you.
say. That's all I can say. Sorry about that.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about something. There's a Bible verse that tells us to be gentle, be completely humble and gentle. And one of the ways in which we can really be gentle with people is in our relationships with them. I think so often we don't really understand that in order to really understand another person, you have to get to know their story. And what I mean by that is a bit more about their lives, what they've been through, who they are, who their parents were, where they were born. Nobody is born into a vacuum. And I think a lot of times in relationships, we can easily jump to conclusions about another person and say, oh, they're a horrible person because of what they did. And yet there can be very little understanding on our part as to why they did what they did, why they reacted that way, why maybe they're being ornery in a situation where we can't understand it. And so a lot of times people will just go headlong into a relationship and write people off just because they did something that they don't get or they don't understand. And yet the Bible says we should be humble and we should be gentle. We should cut people some slack and we should try to understand their story, what's impacting their lives, okay? So I'm going to throw some words out today.
Okay, before you do that,
Okay.
I think it's interesting that we, as people, seem to, and this has been a long, centuries-long philosophical debate too, but why we feel like there has to be somebody or something to blame. We like to put life in little neat boxes and tie a ribbon on it. Oh, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
He said that because he's not a nice person, or she did that because, well, she's not nice at all. We know that.
Yeah.
It's in the box and the lid's put on. Yeah, I understand. And the thing is, we want like this reason or something to blame for something, instead of taking a longer route and saying, well, I don't know enough yet.
Right, I don't know enough. And it's almost like, where did you put my keys?
Right. Are you asking me this because
No, I sometimes say that.
Sometimes, you
It's
do.
like, where did you put my keys? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I
And
put your keys
sometimes-
anywhere.
Well, I've come up with an answer over the years to this question, and I'll say to him, they're exactly where you left them.
Yeah.
Because in fact they are. And how would I know that? I don't know.
I don't know why it is, but there's people, there's losers and finders in every relationship. Who is it in your family? Who's the loser and who's the finder?
Right.
It's usually someone that's finding stuff. Anyway, so I'm going to throw some words out to you in terms of this whole idea of trying to understand a person's story. And how would you think a person would react if they have had a very difficult childhood? The parent didn't want them, parents didn't want them. Maybe they put them up for adoption, and that doesn't always necessarily mean they didn't want them, but we'll go with this kind of idea of they got the message, I'm not wanted around here.
Or being raised in the foster care system because there was nobody responsible for you.
What's going to be their typical reaction if, for example, they get the message from you, somehow they feel you're giving them the cold shoulder?
See, I think that anyone who's had the misfortune of that kind of childhood, it's actually something that a person lives with the rest of their lives. I mean, as you said, nobody's born into a vacuum. Nobody asks to be born. We're just born, right? And we don't, I think you preached on this on Sunday or the week before, nobody gets to choose their parents, or I'd like to be born here or there or something else. No, we're just born, and then we have to live out that reality. And some kids are born into very extremely dire situations, tragic situations sometimes, or abusive situations, and children might have to go into foster care because there's no one to look after them. But that child can often grow up with this sense of no foundation, like no context around them. I don't know really who I am, and I don't know even much about myself somehow, because there's this huge void around them.
Yeah.
Well, often that person can kind of stay away from people then, and be afraid to kind of connect with people because they're not sure how to do it, or if the person will accept them, because
there's
the
a big approval kind of thing going on, like,
because the foundational relationships didn't approve them.
yeah, and the longing for that, the longing for approval. And if you give someone the message somehow that I don't approve of you by disagreeing with them, or then they feel like they
might just pull right away.
Yeah.
Because it's their biggest fear in life.
Yeah.
Because of their background.
What about someone that's experienced a trauma? And that could be anything, like in a relationship. Like, for example, say someone that's been something as seriously as raped or abused as a child in some way. How might they respond in a relationship?
See, again, these are just fundamental relationships that are completely skewed, and the person has a fear for the rest of their lives, a sense of like unworthiness, like who am I? If I'm just, nobody cared enough, and I was abused that way, and they must have thought I was not worth anything.
Yeah.
And
so
that
there's going to be esteem issues.
Self-esteem issues, and also, just the whole trauma situation can give people nightmares, can give them terrors, can make them feel like they're being chased for the rest of their life. They're being, ready to be grabbed by somebody, and that's a fear. So, I mean, you might know somebody, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but if somebody's really paranoid about different people and situations, there might be a very good reason why they are.
Yeah, and also they might push people, like for example in current relationships that are more healthy, they might be pushing that person and pushing them, pushing the envelope, as it were, kind of not wanting to really, but goading them in a way to see if are they going to be a similar kind of person.
How far?
How far can I push them? Is there going to be a point where they might snap and do what this other person did to me?
Right.
So it's like they're trying to find out where is the trust,
And that's actually driven by fear.
Yeah.
And that's not somebody being cruel, it's somebody fearful.
Yeah.
That at some point this person, even though they seem good and they seem like they love me, you never know, at some point they're just going to do something or walk away or hurt me, or, all this fear stuff can just be in a person's life for years after a childhood or a trauma in early years. It's awful.
Yeah. How about people that are, let's try and think of a different kind of thing altogether, like someone that's been brought up and been self-indulged, and they're very spoiled. Stop. And then they go into a relationship and they're used to pampering, and a lot of women over the years have said to us they're really mad at their husbands because they see them as mommy's boys, always wanting to be with their mom. And some guys do that, they want to call mom all the time, or they want to visit mom all the time. And that can be very annoying because, as I've often said, there can only be one. In a woman's mind, women are so competitive. It's like, well, I gotta be. I won't do second, as I always say.
Right.
Women won't do second.
No.
It's like, I want to be first. I don't want to think that somehow you're more committed to your mother now than you are to me, because the Bible says, let a man leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, leave and cleave. And so some people don't do that. They hang about mom. Maybe they were self-indulged. That might be too strong a word, not always, but maybe, they have never got over that.
Right. And
they need to be pampered, and the wife won't pamper them.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, grow up.
Yeah.
It's like, take
You're not a child.
responsibility for yourself. And
When I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put childish things
away.
Right.
And I think as moms, now I'm a grandma, but you know, as we raise our children, it's really important to love our kids and to teach them about the Lord and to teach them good moral living and so on, but also to teach them how to be, you know, like respectful of themselves, but also able to take care of themselves and able to take responsibility for cleaning up their rooms, for maybe when they're old enough to do their own washing, or to prepare some meals as well as mom preparing meals. How about somebody else preparing meals in the house? And that way it just helps kids to understand, you know what? I have responsibility in this life, and it's very short-sighted, and also I think it's actually cruel to raise kids without that awareness. That they should have a sense of responsibility for themselves and whoever is around them. And in the case of if I get married to somebody, I love that person, but I'm not going to expect that person to take care of me. I'm going to, you know, be able to take responsibility for myself and be a partner with that person.
Right. I realize we're scratching the issues on a lot of deep subjects,
deep things.
what we could talk about for a long time, but I've just thought of something for next time.
Okay.
I think we should talk about, because also during counseling we've heard a lot of men get very upset with their wives because they feel like the kids are always first, the kids are the priority, and it's never
that's
me.
a biggie. Mm-hmm.
They feel like, oh, I'm just a, you know, I don't matter, I'm just a bump on a log, and why that happens, and it happens to younger men, it can happen to older men, and some men get very possessive of their wives or want their attention and don't like the divided attention or the most attention going to the kids, so we should talk about that.
Is that next time?
Yeah.
If we remember.
Can you think of another issue
Don't forget next
a
week,
wife might have with her husband? Talk about alongside that. I'll let you think about it. You've got a whole week.
Think about it, okay.
You've got a
All
whole
right.
week, even though you're 60.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Well.
Pip, pip.
And
cheerio.